Hello and welcome back, everyone. The Challenge All-Stars Season 4 has been announced. Now, as we wait for the Season 2 premiere, I thought it'd be a fun time to go deep diving through these players, doing a player profile, breakdown, discussion, and also try to predict how well these players will do on this season. This will be a weekly series. We'll go over 5 players every single video until we go over all 25 competitors that were announced for the Challenge All-Stars Season 4. So for this first part, we will be going in alphabetical order. Now, Ace coming onto this season actually has some benefits, as we have seen him on a pretty recent season of All-Stars before. Albeit his stay on All-Stars 1 was very short, as he only made it through episode 1, where he faced off against Latyrian in a pole wrestle and lost. The good thing is that Ace has always seemed to have a really good social game and to be the life of the party in his past seasons. But just because you have a decent social game and people liked you in the past, it didn't really translate into much wins. Ace has a winless elimination record. The good thing is that 1, his Ella isn't on this season. But 2, he has some prior history with players on this season like Adam, Ayanna, Brad, Janelle, Rachel, Cyrus, Tina, and Veronica. I don't know how much he's kept up with them, but some connections are better than no connections. And Ace has a strong history with CT, who could have told Cara Maria to work with Ace if they've had some conversations. Now, I'm not very enthusiastic about Ace's chances of winning this season given the level of competition, even though this men's side isn't as stacked as the women's side of this season, but because of his prior history and his challenge career numbers. I do think that Ace will do better than last time we saw him on All-Stars Season 1, which is a very low bar to cross. But I think that there are some people that will be bigger targets or, quote, easier targets in the beginning of the game than Ace. My prediction is that Ace can make it to somewhat early to middle of the pack. I don't think he'll be the first one to be eliminated, but he will be going into an elimination, which he hasn't fared well at all in his challenge career. So can he win 1 elimination? Maybe. Could he win 2 eliminations? That's pushing it. Next up, we have Adam Larson, who hasn't been on the challenge since 2006. He's been away from the game for 18 years. Really, I think that can help, but also hurt him. Help him in the sense that he probably has little to no baggage with anyone on the cast. But the cons is having little to no connections coming into this season. With no connections means no protection. And no protection and no connections means an easy vote into an elimination. Adam looks to be in good shape, and we've seen players come into All-Stars after a long hiatus and do some pretty impressive feats, like Yes winning All-Stars 1, Ayanna winning multiple eliminations and making the All-Stars 2 final, as well as Melinda winning an elimination and making the final as well. Adam, to me, is a big question mark. It's just if he can make the connections quick enough in a short period of time. From the trailer, we know he's most likely going into an elimination, and that's an aspect of the game he has very little experience in. He is a champion, but can Adam play what seems to be a solo game efficiently? His prior challenge seasons were mainly team-based, which could mean a whole lot of nothing at the end of the day. It's just, that's another inexperience that he's going to be walking into on this season. I feel like Ace, Adam is a middle-of-the-pack kind of player. I feel like he could be tested early, but could see him winning an elimination. But can he win multiple eliminations is a big question mark. I have Adam as a middle-of-the-pack kind of player, maybe slightly lower than Ace at this point. We'll get back to the video very soon. I first wanted to take some time to say thank you so much for watching this video. But if you would like to support me and the channel further, you can go over to patreon.com/angelcakevids. Over at Patreon, there is a ton of exclusive content, ranging from exit interviews, one-on-one interviews, weekly live streams, premiere challenge content, commentary videos, watch parties, access to challenge fantasy games, and much more. So if you like the content that I'm creating and would like more of it, then please consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you again for watching and supporting the channel, and now back to the video. Next up, we have Averey. One of the younger competitors at the age of 33 hasn't been on a challenge since 2015. Averey is a dark horse for me. She's on the younger side of the competition, in great shape. I always thought that she was very athletic. In X's 2, she went the distance in the hooking up elimination against Nia, who we saw is an impressive competitor when it came to All-Stars 3. In her 2 prior seasons, she's played alongside Jay, Leroy, and Tony. I mean, if Averey can get in an alliance with Leroy, I feel his connections can be beneficial for her. I mean, Leroy is connected to Cam, Cara, Laurel, and much more. Yes, they were rivals at one point, but I feel they could help each other out in the game. I don't really believe in their rivalry. It was a pretty thin rivalry in my opinion, as well as that rivalry stems back to like 9 to 10 years ago. I'm sure they've gotten past it. I said Adam was a big question mark. I think Averey is a question mark as well, but I think she has way more positives than negatives coming into All-Stars 4. I like Averey's chances in eliminations against anyone except for Cara, Cam, and Laurel. I have high hopes for Averey this season, believing she'll make a very deep run. Ayanna is back! She was a standout in All-Stars 2, winning 2 eliminations on her way to the final. I have the highest of hopes for Ayanna. I would say that this season's competition is going to be much tougher than what she faced off against in All-Stars 2. But I don't doubt Ayanna being able to do something impressive. Ayanna is coming in with a good amount of connections. Some can be looked at as good connections, and some can be not so good connections. And I'm talking mainly about Jasmine, who we saw Ayanna and Jasmine get into a bit of an argument in All-Stars 2. But really, is Ayanna worried about Jasmine? I don't think so. And what happened in All-Stars 2 is interesting to bring up, is that Ayanna will be someone to stand up for herself. Say something when she feels something should be said, and that could get her into some trouble on the season. But like I said earlier, I have a ton of faith in Ayanna that if she were to find herself in an elimination, that she would be able to take care of business. To me, on the women's side, I would have Ayanna just outside of the top 5 and have her around number 6, which to me puts her right at the top of the middle of the pack. My prediction is that I feel Ayanna could go far this season. And the final player for this player profile I have is Brad. Now, Brad is coming in with a ton of connections. And when I say a ton of connections, I mean that Brad has either been friends with or played alongside on a challenge season with everybody but 4 players, and that's Averey, Flora, Jay, and Kefla. Brad has some form of ties with everyone else. That is 20 other players that Brad has some connection with. He's coming off of making the All-Stars 3 final and almost made the final in All-Stars 2. Brad is one of the most experienced male competitors on the cast and being one of the few champions on the men's side. Brad has shown to have a good social game when it comes to All-Stars, and he's one of the bigger competitors on the men's side. Brad has some really decent stats through his first 2 All-Stars appearances, and I feel so comfortable saying that Brad could make a really deep season run and has a very high likelihood of making the All-Stars 4 final. I mean, his All-Stars stats speak for themselves. He tied Darrell for the most daily wins for the men on All-Stars 2 and won the most daily challenges for the men in All-Stars 3 while coming in second only behind Wes. I have Brad in my top 3 of men, or maybe even my top 2 of men coming into this season, meaning to me, I have Brad in a very high tier on the men's side coming into this season. And I feel he could make a deep season run and even a finals push, putting him in a spot that I think he has a decent chance of being a top competitor that could win the Challenge All-Stars Season 4. But that is it for this video and part 1. What do you think about any of these 5 competitors? How well do you think that they will do on this upcoming season? Out of these 5 players, who do you have the most faith in? And who do you think could be an early exit or the earliest exit compared to these 5 competitors? Let me know down in the comment section below. I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge All-Stars 4 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.